The secret that keeps you alive after 60-inch. Part 1. The strange pattern I couldn't ignore. It began with an observation. Dr. Ravi Mehta had been a practicing physician for nearly 35 years. Specializing in geriatric medicine, he'd seen thousands of patients come and go, some into their 80s and 90s with vitality and joy, others fading quietly in their late 60s or early 70s. Many of those who left too soon didn't show obvious signs of fatal illness. No cancer, no major strokes, no severe cardiac events. They just slowed down, disappeared from their routines, disconnected from life. At first, he chalked it up to luck, genes, randomness, but patterns don't lie, not when they stare you in the face for decades. Dr. Mehta realized that the ones who aged well, really lived well, shared something that wasn't found on a blood panel or scan. They had spark, not just mental engagement, but a physical connection to life. A pleasure in living in the body, not just the mind. And the ones who died quietly, they had slowly lost that connection. Not to their grandchildren, not even to their hobbies, but to their own bodies. They had stopped touching, stopped feeling, stopped delighting in physical experiences. Many stopped even talking about it, as though growing older meant growing apart from their own skin. Dr. Mehta was sure of it now. Something silent was killing people before their time. Part 2. What nobody wants to talk about. Ravi didn't know how to bring it up at first. In his early years of practice, he'd focus on blood pressure, cholesterol, mobility, sleep. The usual checklist. But one question changed everything. He was meeting with Mrs. Anita Sharma, a widow of 74, vibrant eyes dimmed by fatigue. He sensed something deeper was wrong, so he took a risk. He asked gently, "Anita Ji, do you still feel pleasure in your body? Touch, sensation? Even just in the quiet moments when you're alone?" She looked at him, stunned. Not angry, not offended, just shocked that someone had asked. "No," she whispered, "not for years. I thought that part of me was over." That conversation opened a door, not just for her, but for Dr. Mehta too. He began asking more of his older patients, privately, respectfully, in safe environments, whether they felt connected to their physical selves. Most of them didn't. Many felt ashamed to even admit it. They had internalized the lie. Touch is for the young, pleasure is shameful after 60. Intimacy has an expiration date. That's when Ravi knew. The absence of physical pleasure, not sex per se, but pleasure, was acting like an invisible disease. And no one was talking about it. Part 3. The biology of disconnection. You see, when you stop using your senses, your sense of touch, your ability to feel warmth, goosebumps, tingles, connection, your brain rewires itself. Neural pathways associated with pleasure begin to fade. Your hormones like oxytocin, testosterone, dopamine drop, not just affecting libido but bone strength, heart health, emotional balance, and immunity. Even blood flow slows. Areas that once lit up in the brain go dark. Your body learns to live without joy. That's when life shortens, not just in years, but in brightness. It becomes survival, not living. Dr. Mehta began to tell his patients, "You don't need a gym. You don't need supplements. You need to feel alive in your skin again." And many would ask, "But how? I'm not married. I don't have a partner. Isn't it too late?" He would smile gently. Aliveness doesn't depend on anyone else. It begins inside you. Part 4. The forgotten ritual of self-compassion. Reconnection isn't about youth or performance. It's about permission. Permission to sit in silence. Run your hand over your own arm and notice the sensation. Permission to light a candle. Massage your legs. Stretch slowly in bed. To feel heat, texture, warmth. And yes, permission to pleasure yourself without shame. For decades, Society whispered that masturbation after a certain age was inappropriate. But Ravi had seen the opposite. The patients who embraced solo intimacy quietly, respectfully, were often the ones who thrived the longest. It wasn't about orgasm. It was about awareness, tuning into sensation, blood flow, breath, heartbeat. Some called it self-love. Others simply called it care. Ravi called it returning home to the body. He began prescribing it not as a joke, but as a medical recommendation. And slowly the results showed up. Sharper minds, deeper sleep, calmer moods, even stronger bones and circulation. It was as if their bodies had been waiting for a signal. You're still here. You still matter. Part 5. 3 Lies That Kill the Elderly Silently. There are 3 beliefs, Ravi noticed, that steal the last decades of a person's joy. 1. I'm too old for this. A quiet killer. Aging changes how the body experiences pleasure, yes, but it doesn't erase the capacity. Sensations might be slower, gentler, but often more meaningful. Letting go of touch because of age is like refusing to listen to music just because your hearing changes. 2. Pleasure is selfish. Especially among women, this belief ran deep. Decades of caring for others, of sacrificing, of surviving hardship, made many feel guilty for receiving, for asking, for feeling. But the truth is, when you nourish yourself, you nourish everyone you touch. Joy is never selfish. 3. I need a partner to feel alive. Connection is beautiful, but you are your first home. You can feel warmth, arousal, comfort, tenderness, even intimacy, alone. And those who do often find their next relationship richer because they come into it whole, not half empty. Part 6. The Reawakening Method. Dr. Mehta eventually created a simple 5-step ritual. Not a prescription, but a practice. Something anyone over 60 could follow in private, gentle silence. 1. Create sacred space. Dim the lights. Put on soft music. Light a candle. Not for seduction, for respect. This is a ceremony of life. 2. Tune into breath. Place a hand on your heart. Inhale deeply. Feel your lungs. Notice the rhythm of your aliveness. 3. Reconnect through touch. Start with non-sexual areas. Your neck, your calves, your feet. Explore with kindness. You're not fixing, you're listening. 4. Allow pleasure without pressure. If you feel arousal, welcome it. If not, welcome that too. The goal isn't climax, it's contact. To know your body is still yours. 5. Close with gratitude. Place both hands over your chest. Say, thank you, out loud or in silence. To your body, to your life, to the moment. That was it. And for many seniors, this simple ritual changed everything. Part 7. Stories that stayed with him. There was Mr. Naresh, 81, who had stopped smiling for years. After starting Dr. Mehta's method, he began writing poetry again. I didn't know I could feel this awake, he said, wiping a tear. There was Mrs. Fatima, 70, who had lost her husband a decade earlier. She called it her evening blessing. Those quiet 15 minutes of self-connection before bed. Her arthritis didn't vanish, but her sadness softened. Then there was Dr. Mehta himself. After years of teaching others, he realized he too had grown disconnected from himself, from intimacy, from breath. So he began practicing what he preached. And for the first time in years, he felt whole again. Conclusion. You are still here. If you've reached this point, let me say something directly. You are still alive, not just in breath, but in touch, in memory, in love, in longing. You do not need to disappear quietly. You do not need to accept a life dimmed by outdated beliefs. Your body has changed, but it has not expired. Reclaim your right to feel, to explore, to awaken, not for anyone else, not for performance, but because you are still you, and you are still worthy of joy, even now, especially now, because the secret that keeps you alive after 60 is remembering you were never meant to stop feeling. If this touched you, whisper a promise to yourself. I will not fade. I will feel. I will live. And when you're ready, begin. Candle. Every elderly voice holds a lifetime of wisdom. Subscribe and let their stories guide and inspire your own.